Halfway through this particular game, My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, trying to make sense of a total which, if you were to view it in isolation, 164 for 6. After deciding to bat first, you'd say the bowling team have done an extremely good job and you'd give them the upper hand. But if you see the way the innings unfolded, plenty of positives for the men in purple, particularly their captain, Dinesh Karthik, who was still trying to figure out where he should be batting. And I think he's found himself the position where he can come, settle down and be the finisher. And of course, Shubman Gill showing his consistency throughout the tournament. Joy Bhattacharjya, Simon Doull with me. Simon, I'll come to you first. What a revelation this has been for DK. You'd expect an Andre Russell little initiation at the end, but it was all about the captain.
Yeah, it's all about quality cricket shots as well. It's not, he's not a slogger by any stretch. He's got all of the shots in the book. He uses the angles very well, and he's strong. He's a powerful man. And I just thought that was probably one of the best innings I've seen him play for a long time. And just to weather that early storm, sort of create a little bit of a strike rate, and then to move through the innings, 58 off 29 balls, striking at 200, 2 sixes, 8 fours, a couple of those sixes. He picks and chooses where he wants to hit the ball, and then he executes it. And I was really impressed with that. What were they, 60? When you guys did the combox, 60 for 2. So to put on 104 and the back 10 when you've been in trouble, and it's a surface to me that looks like it might almost be enough. It's very much like the Chennai encounter the other day, isn't it?
Yeah, enjoy the 100 plus in the back 10 without a contribution from Andre Russell other than 1 for 2 at his boundary. Sunil Narayan didn't come out to bat. That just shows the impact of Mr. Finisher.
No, absolutely. And I think he's finally, KKR have got the batting order right. Because, people will tell you, and I put this out on Twitter, and people were going hoarse saying that, how can you give Andre Russell, 8 overs, 9 overs to hit? I said, why don't you then, if that worked, why doesn't Andre Russell open the innings? Because it doesn't work that way. There's something called shot selection. Andre Russell is best when he doesn't have to think too much about what he's going to hit. But look how Dinesh Karthik hit the ball. He's hit 2 on the leg side. The moment he hit on the leg side, when he pitched it off, he just pierced that field between those 2 points to get a boundary on the offside. That's class batting. That's not Andre Russell type batting. That's class batting. That's outthinking the opposition, outthinking the bowler. It's not brute force. And I'm not saying that Andre Russell is not a great hitter of the ball. But if you want a guy who can sort of play the field, understand the situation and play it, Dinesh Karthik is the man for me. If there's 7-8 overs left, I'd love to see Dinesh Karthik in, not Andre Russell.
Yeah, 89 in the last 7 overs. Add to that the fact that the last couple were actually pretty decent from Punjab, with Arshdeep Singh being the star. And have a look at that. I mean, that just tells you 12.71. But the real impact came before the 19th and 20th overs. That's when the damage had been done, Simon, from Kolkata's point of view.
Yeah, it was. They had all those overs from 14 through to 18 in double figures, from 11 up to 18 in total. And then the last 2 overs, they pulled it back okay, finished quite nicely with 9 coming from the last 2 overs. And really impressed with Arshdeep. I thought he's done a terrific job throughout tonight. And he's just getting those Yorkers in the hole. It just shows you the value of that Yorker late in the piece. But I still think that Kolkata, from where they were in trouble early, even when Shubman Gill and Owen Morgan came together, I think they'll be sitting in that change room now going, okay, that's a total, that's enough. We've got runs on the board. We can defend it. We've got a great bowling attack. It's an afternoon game. We're not have to worry about a wet ball at all. So Chakravarti and Narayan can do their job, do the business. A couple of wickets up front from Cummins or Krishna or whoever it may be, and they're right in this game, I think.
Yeah, they've defended before in this tournament, Joy, and one fresh face, in a sense, fresh to this part of the tournament, but he's been there, done that before in Prasidh Krishna.
Absolutely. And he's done very well for them in the past. He was unheralded. If you remember, Prasidh Krishna first came in because of injuries to both Mavi and Nagarkoti, and that's how he got into the squad, forced his way into the first 11, and bowled really, really well. I mean, Prasidh Krishna has taken advantage of every chance he's got. Now, the interesting thing is the pressure that Kings 11 will put is up front, because they also will be equally aware. There are a lot of experienced heads sitting out there saying the back 10, this pitch is going to get slower and slower and slower. We can't say that we'll get 18 the first 10 and 18 the next 10. It's not going to work. We've got to get 100 in the first 10. We've got to put it out of reach. Look what happened the other day. Look what happened to CSK. So what they're going to try and do is hit the early bowling, because 10th over, 11th over, 7-8 overs of Sunil Narayan and Varun Chakravarti, and the ball not reaching you and the big boundaries, it's not going to work for them. So they're going to attack up front. So the big excitement will be in the first 5, 6, 7 overs. I'd love to see what happens then.
Yeah, Simon, and to add to to compound their woes, not only will the ball become slower and you'll have more of those spinners in the back 10, their batting lineup isn't exactly that long unless you're one of those who's a firm believer in Mujibur Rahman in his batting skills.
Yeah, Chris Jordan adds a little bit more substance to that number 7 spot, but there's nothing to come after that. And so the guys at the top have to do it. Nicholas Puran was brilliant the other night. They need runs out of the top again, but they have to do a majority of that work, the top 4. Simran Singh, Maxwell, Jordan. We haven't seen anything out of Maxwell as yet, and you know, he hasn't had a great tournament at all with the bat. So if it gets down to him, they know that with the likes of Narayan and probably Chakravarti, they can really put pressure on that middle order, even if it's at the point where they look like they're cruising, as Chennai were in the game against Kolkata. If they look like they're going well, they're just that one breakthrough away from putting some real pressure on a middle order that hasn't performed, and then a very long tail.
I want to just talk about spin, the spin that went by and the spin to come. First, what we've already seen. Arshdeep Singh was outstanding, but how good again was Ravi Bishnoi. It's just, whatever words you might use about him, when he first came into the tournament, you're saying, okay, young kid, under 19, got that experience. What can he do on this stage? And he has ticked pretty much every box. 4 overs, 1 for 25, keeps the runs down, and whenever they need a wicket, even among carnage, he's got the wickets.
So that's actually the most impressive quality that I've seen out of him. That even when they hit him, he doesn't lose his length. You know, you've seen even experienced international bowlers, and Mujib plays in leagues around the world, panicking a bit when they got hit. You know, they're changing their lengths, they're dragging the ball down early. He is just not doing it, and you've seen all the other leggies also, young leggies. Abdul Samad the other day, you know, the moment he got hit for a couple of sixes, you know, you're dragging the ball down, you're trying to push it short, and this guy just manages to hold it. And I think, you know, one day Anil Kumble was telling me, and he said that, you know, for a leggy, I said, what's the most important thing you need for a leggy? And I was expecting some great technical analysis. And he said, what you really need is temperament. You know, when they hit you for a 6, you got to smile at the batsman and come back at him. And that's something that, you know, this kid has. And obviously, he's got the best teacher in the country doing that. So he's bowling brilliantly for them. And, you know, today, if you look at what he's done compared to, you know, if he had also gone for runs, this could have been a 180.
And Simon, Joy used the word smile. And I think that's very important, because I remember Rashid Khan talking about this in a previous season when Chris Gale took him to the cleaners in Mohali, and he had his worst figures ever. And I had chatted with him on a Cricbuzz show after that, and he said, listen, that actually did me a lot of good, because I said, okay, he's going to do that to me. I'm going to come back even stronger next time. Yeah,
it's a mental fortitude, whatever you like to call it. And, you know, some players have it, some players don't. Some players want to bowl when it's tough. Some players don't, and you can notice it fairly early on. If you're throwing a guy a ball, and we've seen Ravi Bishnoi throwing the ball by KL in the power play early in the tournament. He bowled the 3rd or 4th over in one of his first games, I think it was. So he can see something in him. I'm sure Anil Kumble can see something in him. He's not the finished product by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a lot to like about him. And, you know, he'll cause some trouble. And we haven't really seen him yet on a turning surface, on a pitch that's going to offer him a lot of assistance. And he's still doing the job well. So wait till he gets on something that maybe offers him a little bit of turn and stops and sits up a little bit. He could be a real handful.
And on the subject of Punjab, but not one of the players from Punjab, there was no Gale today, but there was Gill, Joy. And yet again, was that bad?
I'll tell you, yeah, that was bad. But I'll have to tell you a terrible statistic.
Even worse than mine.
Worse than mine. It's a terrible statistic. Oh. The last time, if I'm right, the last time Glenn Maxwell scored a half century, Barack Obama was the president of the United States of America.
In the IPL.
Yeah, in the IPL. Yeah. A half century in the IPL, Barack Obama was the president of the United States of America.
Wow. Fair enough. I mean, we can start to talk about the presidency and start talking about who will be in a month's time. But I think, yeah, I mean, it just says a lot about Gill and his consistency. But just looking ahead to their approach and what it could be, we've analyzed their long tail. We've analyzed all that. Quick look at Shubman Gill. Not an auspicious start, but once he got going, except for that one game against Chennai, every single time he's contributed. Today was very, very important.
I think it
Yeah,
was
we mentioned. Sorry, Joy. We mentioned earlier, didn't we, about this could be the breakout year for him, and slowly, Joy, it's starting to look like that.
No, absolutely. And I think what he's done well is anchor the innings. He allowed the guy on the other side. Again, he's a designated anchor on their side. So other guys will play around him. So Karthik played around him. Everyone else played. Morgan played around him. And that's, I think, going to be their strategy. You play correct. Don't change your game. And I think that's one of the things that KKR is doing well. Allow players to play their natural role. And Shubman is naturally a correct player. Don't have him play those ugly crossbat swipes. He can get you enough runs in the middle just doing what he does best. And
at
he'll get more
120 strike rate, you kind of 120 to 125 by the end of his innings. If Morgan, DK, Russell gets going, Nitish Rana, I mean, if they get going around him, there's no reason why Kolkata don't score those 190s, 200s. So that's his job. As long as he's not going at 100 strike rate, and that 120 to 130 range is absolutely fine if you're batting 15, 16 overs of an innings and everyone else around you is doing their job.
Yeah, to add one more stat to the Glenn Maxwell, Barack Obama stat, Dinesh Karthik has not only taken time to find his right batting position, but he's taken a while to hit his first big six in this tournament, or big or small, just a six. 56 deliveries he faced in this tournament before he hit a maximum, Simon.
Yeah, okay, Joy. Who was the president in 56?
I know the president. I think it was Eisenhower in 56.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, good work. Well done. It's a long time ago.
Who's going to be the president in 2021?
That is a much tougher question.
I know. We'll need a full show for that. So, okay, let's have a less tough question for you. What's going to be the score after 6 overs? Because remember, we had a huge span for our My 11 Circle badge of honor, but Kolkata decided to finish somewhere in between Joy and me. Right there. Thanks to that excellent last over. It could have gone either way. A wicket meant Joy had it, and a couple of more boundaries for DK meant I would have had it. So none of us have it. Gentlemen, 6 over score for Punjab. Joy?
They'll have to go for it. So I'll have to go high or low because it won't end up in the middle. I'll go 61 in 6.
I'll go next because my doorbell's going. You can probably hear that in the background. I will go with 48, slow start.
48. I thought they used to talk about phoning a friend. This is like getting a friend from next door to give you a tip. So, okay, 61, 48. I'll go for 53. 53.
Should I ask the doorman?
No, that's fine.
I'll see what he thinks. I'll see what he thinks.
All right. Well, there you go. Simon's going to check on that. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun before we wrap the show up, Joy. We've got 61.
What do you think Punjab will score in the 6 overs? What do you think? Yeah, how many? What's the score going to be? Sorry, guys, he doesn't know.
All right, that's fine. We'd like to try and involve fans, no matter who you have. That's what this show is all about. Thank you, Simon. Thank you to Simon's doorman. Thank you, Joy. We've got our scores in. We'll see you on Cricbuzz Combox in the 10th over. I promise you it'll be 2 of us. And at the end, maybe if Simon can invite some more guests from the hotel. Otherwise, just the 3 of us. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live.